Playing fighting games on mobile. At first sight, this idea is rather weird. Some combos are challenging even with big physical buttons, so how on earth should we perform them on a touchscreen? But if we dig deeper into it, we discover that the genre has a decent place in the area of mobile gaming. We can have lots of fun and even enjoy some benefits for main practice, well, let's just say on proper devices. The idea came to me a while ago when I found myself being on my phone every now and then, as one does. I mean, situations like being on a train, having a break, or waiting for an appointment, I would sure like to play something during those periods. And it would be great to have a game for my favorite genre. So I rushed into research, installed a few games, and I actually had a pretty good time with them. I play some of the titles regularly now and want to share my experience with you. I'm doing it in this video, here and now. It turns out that we can establish 3 general types of fighting games on mobile devices. They differ by strictly practical gameplay features and the general philosophy around these releases. The first one is to make a super basic fighting system within a popular franchise and emphasize traditional mobile gaming industry aspects, such as collecting items or leveling up characters. It's surprisingly pretty fun. This approach lets you be in touch with your favorite heroes and their world, and probably even explore the wonders of a new fighting universe. The second type is to make fighting the main part of gameplay and give players a simplified control system. It's like modern controls in Street Fighter 6, but on the touchscreen. Such games somewhat lack the general mobile grinding that keeps you occupied and interested, but they are much closer to the main genre, requiring better skills and a better understanding of the fighting principles. The third and last type is to bring the full copy, or almost a full copy, of a fighting game and make the on-screen control possible. This idea feels great for many FGC hearts, but the reality of mobile gaming requires significant adjustments to the formula, including attaching extra devices and playing in a specific physical environment. It's a bit weird to talk about games in such abstract terms, right? We have real titles to make the examples absolutely solid and base the opinion on real fights. So what can we play from each category? NetherRealm Studios reached impressive heights in this mobile subgenre with both of their main franchises. Injustice 2 Mobile was released to support, well, obviously to support the main Injustice 2 game, and they created Mortal Kombat Mobile, and it has become an ongoing fighting game project to accompany a few main releases, MKX, 11, and 1. Let's mention Mortal Kombat Onslaught 2, the most recent mobile game by NRS, but only mention, as it's not a fighting game strictly speaking. You just watch your guys going through waves of enemies and decide when to activate their charging special moves. The whole gameplay is more about collecting characters and items. The actual matches are more of a beat 'em up, simplified even for those standards. Mortal Kombat Mobile is also mostly about being a collector of character cards and putting effort into making them stronger. But the matches here are classic fighting. The controls are very basic though. Tap for an attack, do 3 taps for a combo, and swipe for a special move. There are buttons for supers, but you need to wait for them to recharge. The gameplay is not dull, don't get me wrong. Some skills are needed to know when to block and when to tap, attack. It becomes especially pronounced in multiplayer matches where you watch the opponent attentively and try to predict their actions. It's a tag team game, so some strategic thinking is needed. Who do you pick for each match? When do you switch between your characters? The story is here. Time-limited quests are here, and the collection of characters and items is simply huge. Single-player modes feel like endless grinding, but instead of grinding skills, it's about grinding for boosters and experience. Injustice 2 Mobile is much the same, and both these games are fun to play in your spare minutes. The matches are short and satisfying, there are lots of activities to keep yourself busy for many weeks, and the games become excellent additions for practice and fighting in MK1 and Injustice 2, if you still play it. I love to be with those iconic characters, delve a bit deeper into their stories, and probably discover something new from their abilities. It surprisingly keeps me more motivated to grow in my primary games. The same can be said about another example of basic fighting, Skullgirls Mobile. It perfectly recreates the atmosphere of the original game, gives you characters from it, and leads you through story events happening in that world. Again, we have many character variants to hunt for, moves to make your active roster even stronger, and various resources to develop your unique style. The collectible grinding never ends. The role-playing elements feel stronger in Skullgirls, as we even have a classic skill tree here. The mechanics are super similar to MK. Block with 2 fingers, tap to attack or perform combos, and press icons for specials and supers. The characters can throw, which is refreshing and brings the game slightly closer to full-fledged fighting. While I appreciate the depth of the proper fighting games, these adapted versions feel almost perfect for mobile devices. It's not always possible to dedicate yourself fully to a fight, but you still have some side activities, like exploring items or moves to attach to your character. Even the matches allow players to be slightly less focused and still win. But what if I want to focus more on fighting and not mobile grinding? Well, the next category is for you. Capcom worked on simplified controls way before Street Fighter 6. In 2010, they released a mobile version of Street Fighter 4. After a few updates, the game is available even now, and it's still awesome. There is no such thing as light, medium, or heavy attacks here, just one button for punches and one for kicks. It still feels much more than just tapping for combos, as you have a virtual joystick for movement and have to combine positioning and attacking. Special moves and even blocking have 2 options. They can copy the general Street Fighter pattern with quarter circles and dragon punch inputs, but you can activate assists for both to get specials by pressing one dedicated button and automatic blocks that protect your character in most situations. Supers are even simpler in this version, as all you have to do is tap the gauge to activate it. The game has nothing else beyond traditional Street Fighter modes, so it's fighting and it's pure excitement. This game is so good for exploring the depths of the Street Fighter world, mechanics, and characters. Sure, it's still better to do that on your console or PC with a nice controller and the latest update, but let's remember what we started with. Mobile gaming usually pops up when you can't reach your beloved gaming devices. And for this, Street Fighter 4 on mobile comes really close to a perfect representation of the fighting genre on smartphones. The game keeps the balance in gameplay, which sure comes at a cost. Playing sessions require more dedication, so just standing in a subway may not be the best convenient position for such matches. And there's not much to do in addition to fighting, like creating character variations or planning what moves to update with the limited resources. The simplified inputs adapt the control system to the touchscreen quite well, but you don't have the full fighting creativity. Restrictions simply don't allow for the same freedom and control as the real thing. If you decide to turn the assist off, the intensity increases substantially. Believe me, it's hard to shoot Hadouken on a touchscreen even if you're sitting steadily. And let's not mention the struggle of Shoryuken here, please. Still, the input difficulty here is almost nothing in comparison to the next category, bringing the full original control system to the touchscreen. Brawlhalla is one of the most accessible titles in the fighting genre, in the sense that you can play it everywhere, and it will have crossplay across all devices. Certainly, phones are among them. The game is adapted to touchscreens quite well, with big colorful buttons and clear icons that explain what these commands do. If not that layout, you simply have a full game but on mobile. It's pretty fine with Brawlhalla though, as it's a platform fighter with classic input patterns, like down plus light attack or side plus signature move, which is an equivalent of specials here. The original simplicity of the platformer subgenre, oh, I mean it in a good way, no, don't get offended, this simplicity makes Brawlhalla a good game even on mobile. It's certainly not suitable for an esports competition, imagine winning the world championship on your phone, but it's still a very good training tool and more than decent entertainment. Other good examples of full fighting games on mobile come from our friends at the SNK Corporation. They released some of the King of Fighters games and have Samurai Showdown ported into iOS and Android. To be honest, I felt a bit overwhelmed moving through the tutorial of Samurai Showdown. Some adjustments in playing habits are needed to feel what different swiping patterns to the right side of the screen are supposed to do. Like, what's the direction for dodging an attack again? The on-screen controller has the standard movement joystick and a few attack buttons, which generally reflect what you can do on a physical controller. Kicks, light, medium, and heavy slashes. Special move can be performed in the standard way with quarter circles or by a combination of simple directional inputs and a special skill button. In a way, it's similar to the simplified input of Street Fighter 4, but with much better control over normals. Beyond that, we have a full game with the story, online matches, and everything else, and that's exciting. But the gameplay is a little complicated. Swipes are not the same feeling as physical buttons under your fingertips, and the control system can be learned and trained. It's not a big deal, but still fighting with no convenient shortcuts feels, well, not too suitable for mobile devices. A full game is better on consoles and PC. On a phone, it may be a limited training tool. But considering the places and times when you would play on your phone, would you prefer a full-fledged game or a more adapted one? There is one thing that can change the situation around mobile fighting games drastically. No one prevents you from attaching a controller. I don't mean a standard DualSense or the Xbox gamepad here, as they require placing your phone somewhere, and that is just going against the philosophy of mobile gaming. I mean controllers like the Backbone One or the Razer Kishi. You physically attach them to a phone and get something kind of like a Switch. Here's the Razer Kishi for reference. In fact, it's a pretty solid solution for the third category we've described in this video, for full games on mobile. Let's take the King of Fighters game as an example. We have a few games ported from Neo Geo arcades like KOF 98, 99, and 2001. With the attached controllers, you get a gaming system from your phone. It's still not as comfortable as an arcade stick, but it is a step forward from tapping the touchscreen. The controllers are useless for adapted games, and you have to carry them, which does not happen all the time. The collection of games becomes even more limited, so it may be a good solution, but not a perfect one. To expand the fighting games library to almost all the current titles, we can use a game streaming service. The attached controllers become inevitable in this case, and you absolutely need to have a fast-paced internet connection. The services are PlayStation Plus with its Premier tier, and a collection of games include Street Fighter V, Tekken 7, Dragon Ball FighterZ, and Mortal Kombat 11, GeForce Now with some Steam and Xbox Game Pass games like King of Fighters 15, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Guilty Gear Strive, or Boosteroid that somehow rents you a virtual machine to play games, even modern like MK1 and Street Fighter 6. Here we move beyond the area of mobile gaming. It's rather console PC gaming on mobile devices. This solution expands the library for sure, but it creates even more limitations. You can't play everywhere just by taking a phone out of your pocket. We add layers upon layers of extra factors and lose the excitement of ready-to-play accessibility. Cloud gaming to stream fighting games on mobile devices may be interesting for some niche situations. As for technology in general, like input delay, it requires more testing. We sure could make a dedicated video on this topic. Another option is to stream fighting games not from a server, but from your console, through the PlayStation or Xbox's remote play applications. The variety of games becomes limited only by your console library, but the connection requirements remain the same, very strict. The awesome beauty of mobile gaming is the possibility to install and play a game for free. It works well with the adapted fighters like Skullgirls and Mortal Kombat, where the gameplay involves many resources. Some of them cost real-world money, and the game may become annoying offering to purchase this package with that discount or so many coins for just this price. But both MK and Skullgirls are pretty reasonable with their monetization strategy. The developers need money to work on the games, but they give players good ways to grind in the free version. Skullgirls even offers a subscription plan to get lots of resources, allowing for more freedom in creating your collection and developing your characters. Street Fighter IV has a free version, but only with the arcade mode enabled. For everything else, including training, you need to buy the game. Many of the King of Fighter games are just paid with no free trial, and paying for them feels alright, nothing extraordinary to discuss. We do that on consoles and PCs, so these mobile games are not that different. I want to pay special attention to Samurai Showdown. It's also a paid game, but it comes with a Netflix subscription. Do you have one? Why not start fighting in the world of Samurai then? Of course, if you are okay with these types of controls. And no, there is no universal advice for everyone, to pay or not to pay. We highlight the options for you to know what to expect. The variety of fighting games on mobile platforms is quite impressive, and I'm not talking about titles. The gameplay implementations range from clever adaptations on the verge between genres to full copies of the original versions. What's better than that? Fighting games on mobile cannot become a full substitute for the primary experience of having matches on traditional gaming devices though. All the attempts to bring them closer to the full movesets and mechanics, like making swipe variants for every unique action or attaching controllers, sacrifices the convenience of mobile gaming. Simplified inputs feel like a good direction for growth and exploration. These games recreate the general spirit of the genre quite well, and the balance of mobile convenience is still here. Strongly adapted versions of fighting games are perfect companions to bring you fine playing sessions away from the primary devices. They may help you to explore new titles and characters, introduce the genre to beginners, and simply have occasional fun. With all my love for the fighting genre and its deep mechanics, I surprisingly feel some special joy from the simplistic gameplay of the adapted versions and from many side activities of RPG-like and collectible-like titles. They suit mobile platforms the best, and it would be great to see more titles exploring this path. What do you think? Do you play fighting games on mobile? And which gameplay style do you prefer the most? I look forward to reading your comments. And what do you think? Should we add mobile games to the DashFight platform? Let us know. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.